Attack on Titan, a series 11 years in the making that has some of the highest rated episodes and stories in any medium. r/Titanfolk is its manga spoilers subreddit. It lived a healthy-ish life until that fateful day. The day they can never return from. Now a doomed community, it just keeps moving forward. A showcase of the best and worst of modern day fandoms. This is r/Titanfolk and its reaction to the final chapters of Attack on Titan.
Crying.
But first, a tale foreshadowing ours. Before Titanfolk, in a much simpler time of 2015, where people were free to go outside and cough on whoever they wanted.
I'm coming through.
But instead took the time to debate the colour of a dress and watch a show called Game of Thrones. You might have heard of it.
Man down.
And on Reddit, an insurrection is occurring in the r/Game of Thrones subreddit. Discussion here is heavily limited to non-spoiler, non-speculation, and non-toxicity. A utopian paradise, right? But complimenting fan art is boring, and saying Tyrion is a time-traveling fetus gets you banned, so people revolted, declaring a new kingdom of r/Freefolk. They knelt to no mod.
I literally can't kneel, bozo.
This was a community of spoiler discussion and shitposting. The Wildlands. A perfect petri dish for maymays and in-jokes to fester. The raw, unfiltered discourse made it far more entertaining than others. Also, slightly cancerous. Freefolk thrived in spoiler culture, with mega threads exposing every morsel of leaked information before an episode's release. They were in the summer as the community gathered and speculated on what's real or fake, when boat sex and where his ghost was all they cared about. But winter was coming. While they hated every episode, even the good ones, the final season was so horrible it shifted the fun hate into hate, setting off hundreds of thousands of fanatic fans. Nowhere was there more chaos and rage than r/Freefolk, where posting this stuff wouldn't get you banned, but instead rewarded you with upvotes. They signed petitions,
This is worthless.
It's less than worthless, my boy.
voiced their outrage in carefully crafted memes, and a few people did some really stupid stuff. But it was all for nothing. 3 years later, the sub remains, but most of the creativity and fun have moved on, leaving salty people posting kinda forgot memes.
And there's more?
What do you mean?
My boy, you still going?
If Game of Thrones ending wasn't so bad, then maybe it would have been different. Or maybe these communities are doomed to implode, no matter the ending.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
Did I make it?
It's 2018. Elon Musk hits a doobie, children are consuming Tide Pods, and Shingeki no Kyojin is the main Attack on Titan subreddit. It features re-uploaded Instagram memes and wholesome cosplaying. Incredibly normy. Every month there are festival pre-release threads for the next chapter of the manga. Mods harshly enforce rules with heavily limited manga discussion. A real 1984. So, in the mold of Freefolk, Titanfolk is born. An outlaw sub for manga readers that has none of these rules and no spoiler tags. Shingeki no Kyojin mods said of Attack on Titan, "The subreddit has no future. It's founded on hate, and it's nothing but cancer." All ideals that served as the mission statement for Titanfolk. There are debates over the final panel, shipping wars, and shitposting. So nothing has changed in the 3 years between then and chapter 136, where our story begins. At this point, the story's been running for 12 years. People have literally grown up with Attack on Titan. A great anime adaptation has fueled massive popularity, as well as high critical acclaim. The manga is released online, one 40 to 50 page chapter a month. They are released and then translated officially a few days later. Sometimes panels will leak earlier, and the scans will be unofficially translated as soon as they leak. Extra layers make these leaks suspicious, such as poor scans, poor translations, fake scans, fake translations, anonymous sources, and guys just making shit up. These are all made worse by the subsequent extrapolation of every small detail in the discussion. The manga is confirmed to end at chapter 139. 3 chapters is plenty of time for all questions to be answered. All theories were on the table, and it all depended on the following chapters. First, quick recap of the story up to and at the end of chapter 136. Bearing in mind this is giga spoiling most of the story, and fully explaining a 136 chapter story in words would take me at least 136 chapters. Probably more, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it's all pictures. Like, how do I describe that? There exists a race of humans hated and vilified because they possess the ability to titanize. Understandable. Eren and the main cast are a part of this group, Eldians, having lived inside these walls, under threat of titans, and unaware of wider humanity's existence. Long story short, like really short, by looking into Eren's father's basement, they discover the truth about their situation. Eren is mad about having no freedom and the threat of attack from foreign nations. Through some shenanigans with Zeke, his brother from another mother, Eren gains the ability of the Founding Titan, which is basically God mode, giving him the power to destroy the world. Now, with great power comes great responsibility, and Eren has none. He proceeds to destroy the world, controlling colossal titans to walk over humanity in the rumbling, literally murdering everyone except his buddies. But his buddies aren't huge fans of this and choose to join up with the enemy, an alliance, to take down Eren. At the end of chapter 136, the alliance is on Eren and needs to blow up his neck to murder him to death before he kills the rest of humanity. So what's going to happen next? That's the question of mass debate. Theories. Theories and shipping wars are the bread and butter of any online forum. They range from in-depth analysis of themes and foreshadowing to in-depth analysis into the possible dump truck of an ass of some random chick. For years, two Eren ships in this series have been ramming into each other at full speed. Mikasa is like a sister to Eren, but not by blood, and Dad's not home. She won't tell anyone. Historia, locked up, but who's the father? She has royal blood giving special abilities, so who the father is an important story element. The shipping doesn't stop there, where God intended, but the devils of Titanfolk analyze every panel for eye contact between characters that provides clear evidence of future boning. No one is safe, so hide your drawings. As the ending draws near, the tension and strain of these battles has never been higher. Shout out to Attack on Titties. ANR, Akatsuki no Requiem, is the theory that Eren succeeds in murdering everyone. This has the biggest cult following on Titanfolk, and they side with Eren Hisu. These people want blood. And Chad Eren has the 8-pack to back it up. The Alliance is the theory that Eren is defeated before killing everyone. They side with Eren Mikasa and strongly oppose the ANR Chad boys. Madagascar theory. Eren has godly power and wants to protect his people from harm. If you look at the world map and turn it around, it appears their island is Madagascar. What if Eren made them all into talking lemurs and this is just a prequel to Madagascar? To give some context on the mental state of Titanfolk, this is one of the more logical theories being pushed. Because Eren has the ability to talk to himself and influence the past and future. It's all a dream, time loop, and 1,000-kilometer cable theories. Anything is possible if you think hard enough. Or, in the case of Titanfolk, you don't. The 136 threads were popular, but not more so than any other manga subreddit. Enter the chapter 137 leaks. 3 more chapters until this saga is concluded. Things are ramping up. Trolls, theorists, and shippers do battles in the comments even before there's any sign of leakage. The very first official leak comes in. This leak comes from an interview translated into English. It reveals few confusing details, mostly irrelevant stuff, but among the riffraff is Ellen becomes Dove, crying. If this doesn't make any sense to you, then you understand it perfectly. I can't explain why. This broke the minds of the remaining sane people in Titanfall. It was like red to a bull, or minorities to a gamer. We assume Ellen is Eren, and we assume becomes Dove crying means he becomes Dove crying. It was a leak crafted by the shitpost god himself. The memes had already started to flow in before more leaks came in.
Oh my god.
Hours go by. A second reliable leaker has released some details with no mention of Ellen. These details have fan favorite Zeke killing himself and Eren being exploded by the Alliance. In the comments, ANR fans are making their final holdout, launching counter-ops. They will argue for Eren winning at any cost. They are free from all this fake news and just keep moving forward. It circulates that these leaks are just theories from Zekken that have been mistranslated and come from a false account. At this point, the mods abandon humanity. The floodgates are opened. Mass hysteria breaks out in the threads. Comments are the weapon and misinformation is their ammo. The Alliance versus A&R Chad Aaron fanboys are spam rioting. It seems that Zek and Leaks were legit. The Alliance win. Zeke is dead and Aaron has been exploded. Doom posting floods in as people voice their complaints and opinions on where the story went wrong. The A&R faction are now consuming so much copium they're becoming delusional. At the end of the thread, there were 89,000 comments, a massive bump, and it was only going to get bigger as the attention drew more people in. Despite the hullabaloo, polls showed that the majority liked the chapter. 10% of people can make a lot of noise and start a lot of fights. Imagine if it was 50%. There was a month until next chapter, so Titanfolk were able to stew in the events that had occurred. Zeke was dead, and Aaron had not become Dove. On the alignment chart, chapter 137 would be chaotic neutral, 138 would be chaotic good, and 139 would be chaotic evil. In the previous chapter, Zeke may have died, but his spirit lived on here. Many innocents were zooked. When every link could be a new leak, it's easy to get zooked. And it wasn't just base Zook gracing us with his presence, but a whole mint NFT collection of them, from negative Zook to the rare golden Zook. These people were on so much copium, they thought they were in a 2014 Rare Pepe 4chan thread. If there ever was a solid argument to sterilize humanity, this was it. There is no major leak controversy besides all the expected false leak speculation. My dad actually works for Nintendo and he got me the leaks 3 months earlier. Here, take a look. Damn. It turns out Aaron's still alive. He kills most of the remaining cast, but some nifty work from Mikasa leaves him decapitated and smooching. There are worse ways to die, like being turned into a Titan, or stood on by a Titan, or eat a much beloved chapter by the people, even better than 137. Now there's just the final chapter, and it will make or break the series. 139. What should have been a time of joyous celebration was instead mass outcry. Now, I don't think the story is entirely horrible, but I don't think the ending was good.
The reason I'm telling you all this is because I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top.
139 mainly consists of Eren explaining everything to his best buddy Armin in a magical mind palace. Turns out, Eren just wanted to protect his buddies. Because they killed him, they can claim to be the heroes that saved the world. No foreign nations are strong enough for war, mostly because they're dead. As a child, Eren's mum was eaten, and it turns out Eren was controlling that Titan from the future, which is like Bruce Wayne killing his own parents so he could become Batman. Eren is also an incel, and doesn't want Mikasa to be with anyone else after he's dead. We get a flash forward 3 years, and nations are fighting again, because they still haven't gotten over all those war crimes.
Why do you have to be mad?
The story ends with Mikasa sitting on Eren's grave. A bird flies up and wraps a scarf around her, then flies away, leaving her free. Ellen becomes Dove. Cry.
Wake up, Armin.
What's going on? Where am I?
It was all for you. I killed them all so you would look cool. Also, I killed my mum, lol. And Mikasa can't like any—
That's stupid. They're literally just going to hate us more. You dummy. I could have used my 200 IQ to
Fuck
think
this
of an
shit.
actual—
So what are the major issues here? Eren has turned from a badass dude into an incel beta bird crying. His whole logic behind the mass genocide doesn't really work out. Important questions are answered with, I guess, and I don't know. The father was a random NPC, and the final panel that was revealed years ago, discussed constantly since, was not the final panel at all. People's reactions were very divided. This poll defines the meaning of split opinion. But as always, the people who didn't like it were louder, and they wanted retribution. Making matters worse, some people are really big fans of the ending, and good for them. But now the comments are split between the ending is bad, and if you don't get the ending, you're retarded. It's in a similar vein of the Game of Thrones ending, the main character going full evil, killing loads of innocent people with a half-baked justification. Pressure had been building since chapter 137. The pipes burst. The shit show was no longer contained. Death threats, hostile memes, and strongly worded emails were sent to Isayama and his staff. Titanfolk was always looked down upon by other subreddits, but now their reputation was plummeting. They even took the healthy-ish community out of their own bio. By the time these posts are locked, there are 2 leak threads, with 140,000 comments between them. Copium stores had run dry. It was over. What kind of mega-mind arguments do A&R have to make now for Chad Aaron to return?
Don't.
Don't what?
Don't give me hope.
It's announced extra pages are being released to improve upon the ending of the story. once again igniting fans with the hope of these few extra pages retcon the last 3 chapters completely. But of course, these pages only serve as extra fuel on the dumpster fire going on. The fans were so mad they made their own ending, called Attack on Titan No Requiem. This in turn enraged the people who actually enjoyed the real ending. The unofficial ending has done a lot to redirect the copium away from the normal discussion. But that won't stop these junkies. As recently as last week, a new storm has started to brew, the anime original ending, which claims that the anime will create a completely different ending, where Eren wins, and a whole episode is dedicated to a graphic sex scene with Historia. This has gained some traction, despite no evidence for it and official statements against it. Copium is dangerous stuff. Months have gone by, and Titanfolk is still a very active subreddit, but I don't think they'll mind me calling them animals. Comments in the leak threads from 137 onwards display the behavior of hungry dogs more than humans. With the anime returning in January, the subreddit's only going to grow in the next few months. But it shares the fate of Free Folk and every major fandom. Eventually, only the saltiest people will remain. It's hard to pick a side between the haters that have been incredibly entertaining, but often went too far and need to let it go, and the supporters that are more pretentious and boring, supporting an ending that isn't bad, but it's not great. To me, the extra pages did hand themselves an L and only push me more towards the dark side. But I won't touch that copium stuff, it's addictive. If you make a group of people who don't want to be moderated, you're gonna get a few bad eggs. If you give them the ending they want, it might not be enough, and if you give them the ending they don't want, they'll just make it themselves. But above else, these groups and events are really entertaining. All these threads are archived on the subreddit. If you want to go through the threads by new, you can watch the chaos take place for yourself.